Welcome to the channel. Thank you guys for tuning in. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Steel Dive SD1970S. For those of you that do keep up with the channel, I have reviewed the SD1970 at least 4 times over, albeit different variations and the 2020 upgrade. I now have the bronze version. I bought the 2 variants that they do, one with the black insert and the copper insert. And I can't wait to go into these and see what Steel Dive have got to offer with their latest variant of the SD1970. Before I continue, if you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe button. Your support is always appreciated. Also, feel free to add anything in the comments, whether it's just a comment you want to make or if you want to ask any questions. I do my best to respond to most of the comments. I also have a very good subscriber base, a lot of knowledgeable guys there that are always up for giving advice. So please hit the subscribe button. Also take a look at the description. There's a few important links in there. There's usually a affiliated link for AliExpress. I am just affiliated to AliExpress, but not to the actual watch brands. AliExpress will give me a small commission if you do purchase anything through that link. However, there will be no further cost to yourself on that side of it. Any commission earned obviously goes back into the hobby, into the reviews. Further to that, my email address is also there, so if you've got any queries, please let me know. And also there should be a link to my eBay page. If there's anything, just have a look. I do have a few interesting things for sale from time to time. So let's get into the review. So here we have it, the Steel Dive SD1970S with the bronze case. Now this watch honestly has been, it's so popular. There's been a great response on this watch from I'd say the worldwide community. Steel Dive have absolutely sold these in numbers and masses. Now I really think that's a testament to Seiko itself for producing such a timeless and classic design back when they did with the original 6105. Just shows Seiko were ahead of the game in those days, especially. You know, they were always known for innovating. However, as of late, as a lot of people have noticed, that innovation, we're not really seeing that at the moment. But credit where credit is due. Myself, I have only recently just started coming around to the idea of bronze watches. I did see them a while ago and I've mentioned it in previous videos where I've covered the bronze case. I wasn't too sure about them, and I think a lot of people are when they first see them. I'm not a great fan of rusty looking watches, so I actually wouldn't want my watch oxidizing too much to the point where it looks like an old copper pipe. But now Steel Dive have done a few different things when with this variant, which I really do like. So I'd say I just want to cover those details. Just to recap on dimensions and specification, the case diameter is 44 mm, the lug to lug is 46 millimeters, and you've got a case thickness of 13.5 and a lug width of 20 mm. Overall, very decent specifications, small wrist friendly, I would say, definitely. Specifications, so you have and these are the 2020 upgraded versions. So you've got the sapphire crystal, AR coated. You've also got the NH35 hand winding and hacking 24 jewel Seiko movement. You get 200 meters of water resistance. However, on the bronze, I think the water would just speed up the oxidization on the case. The case weight you're looking at is roughly 98 grams, so there's a very decent weight on the actual watch. Okay, so as you can see, this is the bronze case. Now there are a couple of different versions of bronze. You've got the aluminium alloy and you've got the tin alloy. This is I think the tin alloy. The patina is the bronze is slightly darker. What I'm currently wearing myself is the bronze Heimdallr that I did a video on. As you can see, this is the aluminium additive, and you can see it is a lot lighter, looking a bit more closer to brass or a bit more golden in color. So that's the difference. Functionally, the difference would be, from what I've read, this Heimdallr should patina more evenly it won't not corrode, but it won't oxidize as much as these two. But bear in mind, when you do buy them, you know, you've got to be a fan of that vintage look. There are a few things which you can do to kind of even out the oxidization. You can use some linseed oil, and this is from the pointers from the subscribers on the channel. You can also always reset the patina by using something acidic, so lemon juice, vinegar. I've heard people say soak it in tomato ketchup, but why would you just soak the whole watch in tomato ketchup if you can just use something simple like lemon juice? So yeah, stick with that. I'm gonna try my best not to make this a half-an-hour long video. I'll just cover the main things which are different, which really made the watch stand out to me and made me buy it. So the first thing you can see from the 6105 bronze, the Steel Dive did go all out. So rather than just do a facelift where they use the same parts, if you notice, they have gone with, let's look at this one first. So they have changed the whole dial, which I think it was the best decision for them. They could have just put in the normal black dial that they use on all their watches, but they went the extra length to actually produce a brand new dial. But into the look, it looks the same, but just if you can see the indices on the dial, you've got applied indices, but you've got a bronze, let's call it a bronze gilt around the indices. You've also got a bronze minute track with the logo in bronze and the automatic water 200 meters resistance. Not everyone is a fan of the Steel Dive logo, but this watch game is extremely subjective. Some people like it. I personally like it, but others don't seem to. And then I've got no issue with the writing at the bottom, just above the 6 p.m. position or 6 o'clock position. I think the red is a good touch as it matches to the red dot on the seconds hand. You've got a bronze window around the date at the 3 o'clock position, and even the chapter ring, they've got it in bronze. So those are some, you know, great upgrades, great additions, as it goes hand in hand with the whole bronze case. And it's an extra cost which they didn't need to do, so it shows a bit of forward thinking from Steel Dive. So a couple of upgrades that they did, now having the watch in my hand a few times, the 2020 version, my personal preference is the first and original version. They did change the actual coin edge bezel. The previous one was slightly more sloped. It wasn't as thick as this one. And they also put in this, I call it a top hat, but it isn't really a top hat sapphire. The top hat, you know, has just curves around, so it's like a box-shaped crystal. This makes crystal, to be honest, it just makes it look like it's too big for the watch. Two things they should have done: either gone for a single dome, double dome, it might be a bit much, but with the chamfer edge. The edge is slightly chamfered here or beveled, but it just needs to be, it needs to actually come out closer to the chapter ring, where the chapter ring finishes here, just to give you that fantastic refraction effect where you can see the minute track being reflected onto the actual chapter ring. Of course, that'll bring it closer to the actual 6105, and that is the sought after look. The second thing I don't really like the bezel action. Since they did change it, you can just have a listen here. It just sounds a bit harsh, and there is not much consistency between the watches. So they don't all sound the same, and they seem to get stuck around the 10 p.m. Or the 10 o'clock marker. I don't know why, but what I have found is the thing is with the bezel on the bronze watches, you are going to have slightly more issues. I saw a post on Facebook where somebody had the Heimdall Tuna, the bronze case, and over time, as it did oxidize, it caused the bezel to stop functioning. So he did that reset, soaked it in some lemon juice, and it started working. What I would recommend with these bezels is give them a good couple of minutes of just rotating them non-stop, just to wear them in slightly. It will reduce the stiffness, of course, and it might slightly improve the action. So I've done this the same with this one, and it does move a lot better. It's a bit more fluent. So there's a little tip. This one comes with a black ceramic insert, and I think it's great. It does break up the bronze, and it does differentiate The watch slightly gives it a few, just gives it another dimension, I suppose. So you've got your bronze and black dial, bronze chapter ring, and then your black ceramic. Moving on to the case, the same case style as obviously the stainless steel, and the polishing is the same. You've got brushed, circular brushing around the case, on the top, along the sides, towards underneath, you've got a highly polished bronze surface. Back of the case, you've got linear brushing, and you've got a stainless steel back cover with the Steel Dive logo. Bronze cases more than likely will have a stainless steel back case, except if it's a monocog case. Obviously, reason being, as this does oxidize, it's going to change color into greens and browns, and you don't want that rubbing off onto your clothes or onto the back of your wrist. One of the upgrades which I did actually appreciate and I did like was the crown. They made the crown slightly smaller, so it was a bit more flush against the crown guards. Crown works perfectly fine. Now, the fact that it is bronze shouldn't matter, because the actual collar where it screws into is still stainless steel, so that won't affect the screwing down of the crown. Due to its size, when you do pop it back in, as you saw, the hour hand moved, so you've got to kind of stabilize it and then push in to maintain the time. I think it's just due to your fingers, it does rotate as you put it in. The finishing on the case, the brushing, there's a slight point about that. It is slightly coarse. Now, I feel this may be just because it is bronze. However, I have seen some of the newer stainless steel cases. As you know, I regularly get these watches in, and I did see the brushing was a bit coarser than it has been. So if I just show you the Heimdallr, you can see the brushing here. It doesn't seem so coarse, but it's a softer material, especially on the bronze, so I would expect that it's not a major issue. A nice option they provide. Steel Dive don't have the best straps. However, with this, you've got an option of a leather strap provided. It's a very soft, almost suede like leather strap they provide, and the good thing is it is quite thick, so it definitely makes it feel a lot better. Sorry. Another strap, I'd say bronze cases are kind of difficult to get straps with. The best straps are leather, slightly a darker shade. They look great, or even the waffle strap, or you can just experiment with Paratrooper or NATO straps with the bronze cases. Let's look at the other variant. This one comes with a copper bezel insert, and you get a slightly different look. It's subjective. I do like both. My preference would just be towards a black ceramic bezel insert. However, I do like this as well. The difference with this bezel insert as well, it will only come with a 12 o'clock illuminated pip. Everything else is exactly the same. Now we're going to move on to the lume, and that is where you'll see something different as well. With the lume, straight away you can see, rather than having a BGW9 C3 mix-up, they've gone full BGW9 across the dial and the bezel. So the illuminated pip at 12, you can see it's blue, and the dial and the hands. This is a really good lume. You've got even coating of the lume on the indices and the hands. And this lume shot is just from natural daylight. It's the light that's coming in through my room, so I haven't given it a UV blast. So fantastic quality on the actual lume. I think it just looks, I do prefer the blue over the green. We've been seeing green for far too long. Let's switch over to the ceramic bezel insert. Now with the ceramic bezel insert, you can see that's illuminated. Again, all BGW9 through and through. I think that's a really lovely looking lume shot right there. Very impressive. Here we have the watches on the wrist. Let's give you the double barrel wrist shot. Hang on a minute. There we go. I'd say both watches do look fantastic on the wrist. I've got a 6.5-inch wrist, and the fit, the lug to lug case width is like absolutely perfect. If I was you, I've said it before, I wouldn't really worry about diameter on watch cases as long as they're not, you know, massive. But it's by the lug to lug. That's where you get the overhang. So if for 6.5, I think the perfect lug to lug is around 48. You can push it to 50, but depending on the case, you might get some overhang. Anything bigger is just ridiculous. So I think it looks really good on the wrist. The leather strap, it is quite thick, and it will need some breaking in. So if you wanna, before you put it on, just give it a good twist and just play with it a bit and get it worn in before you put it on your wrist. To summarize, I think they're fantastic pieces. Anybody thinking about buying them, I'd say you should buy it. It would be something really lovely eventually. Not that it isn't now, but if you're going to buy it for that bronze, over time it will oxidize into something unique. You can always reset it. You can have some sort of input on the watch on the way it does oxidize and the way it looks. I think for me the best thing about the watch is the dial. I prefer this dial to the original dial. I just think the way the indices, the bronze, and even the hands are bronze, it does look different, but cool at the same time. Just another point I want to make, QC. Now, comments recently just talking about QC, there's people saying that Steel Dive handpick watches to send to me. That's not true. Steel Dive will produce 500 pieces per batch. Now, my background is a quality engineer, so you are bound to get QC issues. You've also got it's not a, Steel Dive isn't a factory, they are the assembly plant. So they will assemble the parts. So if you've got 10, 12 operators, they've got to work exactly the same. They've got to be trained to the same level. Now, having said that, the relative defects I've had isn't not that high. So if I've been through, I'd say I've been through, I don't know, 20, 30 Steel Dive pieces. Now I have to check every single one. This also ties in with the point that one of the subscribers made. When you're buying from somebody like myself, people in the UK, you know, we don't want to pass on defects. So when we get the watches, we have to open them. We have to check and make sure they're okay before we send it out. We don't want something to come back defective. So I do my bezel check, I do my crown check. The issues that I've had, the only one issue that I really had was actually the stem. I didn't check this one before I sent it, but when I pulled the crown out, sorry, the stem was too short. So it was a hand winding, the date was changing, that, you know, it was just a mashup really. So I opened it out, I messaged Steel Dive, and they did offer to pay for postage for the watch to go back to them, and they'd give me a replacement. However, just trying to be efficient about it, I just asked them for the stem and the crown. They provided that in the next shipment. They also provided me with a discount. So point there is, if you actually buy from the official stores from AliExpress, you should get sorted out, you should get refunded. AliExpress, 90% people, they are agents, so they're buying from the factories direct and then selling them on. Watches like Steel Dive, you can see you've got so many stores out there which are agents, which are bought from Steel Dive, and they were at one point selling them cheaper than Steel Dive. Now I think Steel Dive has readjusted that, so their prices should, they are competitive again with the other stores. So it's just about, you know, doing well-informed shopping, bit of due diligence. You know, if you get a defect, don't just sit there with it and complain. You know, complain to Steel Dive, get a refund if you want. Defects will happen. Seiko's got defects. Everyone's got defects. The QC, I'd say, isn't 100%, but, you know, my field, I know QC. I mean, I work with cars, so I know the QC is quite poor. When it comes to watches, Seiko, Rolex, they've all got QC issues. It's just the fact that, you know, we shouldn't, because reviewers, we've been, to be honest, hyping these watches for a while now, saying they're so much better than Seiko. Yes, they are for the most part, but don't have that as a 100% expectation where everything is going to be perfect. It isn't. They're doing a very good job of competing with them and being better for the most part, especially going by the specifications and what they provide. You know, just bear that in mind, guys. It's not that serious. Okay, well, I'm done. That's the end of the review. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments about these bronze pieces. Personally, I love them, or just if you've got any questions, just give us some communication within the comments below. Please see the description of the video. Please use the links if you do want to purchase one. Please see my eBay store as well. These will be on there as well. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.